And welcome to Many Voices, Many Visions. I'm your host, Norma Holland. This week, a look at a quiet killer called diabetes. You may have heard about our nation's rising problem with the disease. It's affecting a growing number of people, young and old. It affects every ethnic group, but it's hitting the African American and Latino populations especially hard. Why is this, and what can be done about it? My next guest tackled that question head on. My thanks to DeWayne McCulley for being with us here today. DeWayne wrote a book called Death to Diabetes, How an Ex-Diabetic Beat Diabetes Despite a Coma and a 1337 blood glucose level. Welcome, DeWayne. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Good to be
now,
here.
I know a little bit about diabetes. It runs in my family. So to see that 1337 blood glucose level, for those of you at home who are watching, that's enough to kill a person.
Exactly.
That's way too high.
Oh yeah.
First of all, tell us your story. You're an engineer.
Yes, I was an engineer working at Xerox Corporation, and one day I couldn't move. I woke up one morning and I couldn't move, and had this funny feeling in my body, and this voice said, "You better call 911." So I did, and they broke down the door, took me to the hospital, and when I came out of the coma, they said, "Mr. McCauley, you are lucky to be alive. We got some good news, we got some bad news. Good news is you're alive. We don't even know how you survived this."
How long were you in a coma? Do you remember, or did they tell you, or?
No, I don't know if it was just for a day or a couple days, but they said, "Duane, you had a special type of coma." I said, "Ooh, special." Special meaning good?
Not good.
Special meaning bad? They said, "Well, Duane, you had what is known as a non-ketotic hyperglycemic hyperosmolar coma. And you also had hypertriglyceridemia, and you had deep vein thrombosis, DVT." And
which is a blood clot, isn't it?
Right, exactly.
DVT, I've heard that's especially dangerous.
Oh, yeah. I had 2 blood clots, life-threatening blood clots, and they said, "Well, Duane, at some point you're going to have to go on kidney dialysis. Your eyes are already failing, so you'll be looking forward to that surgery, and we may have to take your legs." And I said, "Take them where?" And the doctor said, "Amputate." I said,
"Oh my goodness."
Yeah, so they got my attention big time. And as I mentioned to you earlier, I was somewhat fortunate that my mother came to Rochester to take care of me. My daughter left her job in Pittsburgh to come take care of me because for whatever reason, they somehow knew this is bad. Dad's never been sick. Something is amiss. And I tell people all the time, "Well, Duane, how did you recover so quickly?" I said, "My mother came, my daughter, and my sister. I had 3 women in my house telling me what to do."
Which meant you were compliant,
I'm
sure.
If you knew my mother,
okay,
you would understand. Yeah, Ma. Yes, Ma.
I love the story of your mother and how she came to your rescue almost, because it was because of your mother that you changed the way you started to eat. Now, here you are at home after the hospital. You're taking all this medication, having to give yourself insulin shots.
4 shots. Yep.
4 shots a day.
Right.
And your mother said, you need to change the way you eat.
Right.
And I understand now, for those of you watching, this book deals with, of course, the different stages of type 2 diabetes. And that's an important distinction to make because type 2 diabetes is the adult onset, correct?
Exactly.
That's what you get when you get older and you haven't been taking care of yourself.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but it's now starting to affect children.
It is,
Yeah,
absolutely,
it's now
young
starting
people.
to affect children.
So this book, your book really is a way for people who have this type of diabetes to, in a way, reverse the effects and live a healthier life without needing medication.
Exactly.
All right.
They can decide exactly how they want to take control of this disease. They can control it with the drugs. They can control it with diet and exercise. And that's stage 4. If they now decide to go further, they can actually reverse the complications. Now, I can hear the doctors out there now screaming, "You can't reverse diabetes!" But I looked at medical science. See, I'm an engineer. I got a background in biochemistry. So I looked at medical science, the pathology of type 2 diabetes, the pathogenesis, the etiology, the epidemiology. I took a look at all these different areas of medical science to get a good understanding of type 2 diabetes at the cellular level. And as an engineer, once you have this insight, then you can apply engineering methodologies to medical science.
Which is what you did with your disease and your illness when you were home. You had a lot of time on your hands, and you looked at your disease from a scientific level as an engineer.
Yep.
And so you began to change the way you ate, thanks to Mom.
Yeah, Mom.
The word
see,
Brussels
Mom
sprouts
changed,
comes to
yeah,
mind.
Yeah, she made Norma. She made me eat Brussels sprouts.
And
as
here you are, a grown
punishment.
man.
Yeah,
Okay.
a grown man as punishment. Now you got to understand the dynamic here, because my daughter's looking. Wow, Dad isn't talking back.
Yeah, right. Oh, because Mom's here. That's
right.
why.
Yeah, and you know, we grew up in a small town. My father had a garden, so we always ate good food. I didn't know it was good food at that time,
Sure.
coming from the garden.
Sure.
My uncle had a big farm out in the country, so my mother said, "We're going back to the basics, and you're going to eat broccoli and Brussels sprouts, spinach." Now, those happen to be the 3 vegetables I hate.
And Mom was going to make you eat them.
Right. That was her way of showing I am in control.
And she was.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank goodness, because I know that one of the big part, a big part of your plan and the way that you got back to health was through what you ate.
Yes.
And that's so important. But you also combine exercise, and we're going to get into that in just a little bit. But first, let's take a look at, for people who are watching, blood glucose and insulin levels. Those words you'll hear a lot when it comes to diabetes.
Exactly.
If we could just show that. If you look at the screen in blue, a non-diabetic, explain that,
Yes.
the chart in blue, please.
Oh, okay. And, you know, engineers, we just love charts.
You made this up. You should. You made it.
We love it. And so that chart on the left, the blue chart, it shows in a non-diabetic's body, the glucose level rises and the insulin levels rise. And this is normal when you eat food. But within 2 hours after consuming the meal, your blood glucose level will return to normal.
Blood glucose is the sugar in your blood.
That's the sugar, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And on the right-hand side, the red chart, now in a type 2 diabetic's body, again, their blood glucose levels will rise. The insulin levels also rise, but after 2 hours, they do not return to normal. This is very important for type 2 diabetics to understand, that the cells of their body are defective. They're not able to pull in the glucose. Your cells have these little garage doors that open and close. In a diabetic's body, the garage doors are stuck. They're damaged, so they can't open to pull in the glucose. And in my workshops, when I teach type 2 diabetics the essence of this disease, and I don't mean to try to oversimplify this, but once they begin to understand, oh, my cells are broke, they're defective. Is there some way to fix them? Yeah, there is.
Which is what a lot of people would argue with you about and say, once you have this disease, there's no way to reverse it or
fix
to.
it. Yep.
But, you know, I've heard of people who, you know, through diet and exercise have been able to stop taking medicine.
Right.
And have stopped needing to take or even give themselves insulin.
Yep.
Okay, so we should be careful, though, to point out people who have type 1 diabetes, who are
that's
insulin
different.
dependent,
Yeah, that's entirely
cannot
different.
reverse their condition.
Exactly. Type 1 is an autoimmune disease, and it's an entirely different disease. In fact, they should have named type 2 diabetes something else like metabolic syndrome X. By giving it similar names, it causes confusion.
Okay, so type 2 is the one you get
Exactly.
when, you know, you haven't been taking care of yourself. Because it's progressive, isn't it? Type 2, you
Yes.
build up over the years.
Yes,
What are some of the
exactly.
symptoms of type 2 diabetes?
Frequent urination, fatigue, you know, weight gain, high triglycerides, high cholesterol, obviously high glucose levels. And I had all of this, and I had just had a physical 3 months earlier, but the doctor didn't really think there was any real issue. I was on Lipitor, I was taking some medication, and of course I thought, I'm fine. I'm taking the drugs, I'm taking the medication, everything was okay. I put on weight, so I weighed about 75 pounds more than I weigh right today. So I put on some weight, but the doctor said, oh, Duane, you're older, so you put on weight, that's natural. So all the signs were there, Norma, but it's called, in my book I refer to as the illusion of health. We think we're healthy, and next thing I knew, I'm in a hospital. Yeah.
It's incredible. One of the things I want to show folks at home is you make reference to the 5 dead foods, and I can't help but notice the dead foods. because a lot of them I had last week, or
Yep.
I ate yesterday,
They're
or
my
heck, I ate
favorite.
them this morning. Take a
My
look at
favorite
this.
foods.
One of the first of the 5 dead foods, refined flour and starches.
Yeah.
I've heard this before, the white foods, the white bread, the
Right,
rice,
right.
anything that's white, potatoes, bad for you.
Yep, yep,
Next is refined sugar, sweets, and corn syrup. I love sugar,
yep. And see,
but bad for you.
yeah. And what we have to understand is that it's not that people need to just, oh, you can't eat these anymore. Because that's what I was told. You can never eat these foods.
Okay.
Okay.
When you say dead, though, what do you mean by dead?
It's just a term I came up with to kind of grab attention.
It sure got my attention. You mean nutritionally void?
Nutritionally deficient, exactly. Dead kind of gets right to it. These foods will eventually make you dead.
All right, trans fats we've heard a lot about. A
Exactly.
lot of companies are now not making food
trying.
with trans fats.
They're trying not to.
Saturated fats, okay, which is the pork and the ham and the bacon. And drugs. You mentioned smoking, alcohol, and of course, caffeine. Come on, Duane, you're hurting me here.
But again, here's what I
so-
want everyone to understand.
Okay.
It's not that you have to stop eating all of these.
Okay.
The key, what I usually recommend to type 2 diabetics is make only one change: breakfast.
Okay.
Don't try to change the world, because if you do, you're probably going to fail. And most people, when they go on diets, they don't feel good. You ever notice a person on a diet?
They're
not happy.
They're not happy. They're cranky.
Exactly. They're cranky.
So change one thing, change
Exactly.
breakfast.
Just
Okay.
change breakfast.
Coming up, we're going to show you how you can do that. We're going to show you the program that Duane created that he now teaches to diabetics through many workshops.
Yes,
I know doctors have called upon you and said, could you come talk to our
Exactly.
type 2 diabetic group? And we'll show you that healthy breakfast. Maybe you'll learn a thing or two when we come back. We promise it won't hurt a bit. It won't. Right, Duane?
It won't
Hang on.
hurt.
We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this Many Voices, Many Visions. Today we're talking about diabetes, and we're interviewing a man named DeWayne McCulley. Thanks for being with us, Duane.
Thank you.
Duane wrote a book called Death to Diabetes, and it's a book that a lot of diabetics, type 2 diabetics, have read. It comes with advice on how to make yourself healthy again, and eventually maybe get yourself off medicine and live a healthier life.
Yeah.
You survived a diabetic coma, and you came back many ways stronger than ever before.
Yeah, exactly.
You're an engineer, so you come to this with a scientific background. Right. Before we went to the break, we talked about the 5 foods that people eat that are not the healthiest, okay? You call them dead foods. Let's lighten things up. Talk about the 5 live foods, the foods that are life-giving and have some nutritional value. If we could take a look at that.
Sure. The number one, and my mother said, make this number one. Vegetables, vegetables, vegetables. Vegetables contain specific phytonutrients that actually help to initiate the repair process within our cells. So vegetables are very important.
Now, wait a minute. You're pushing vegetables, not a pill or a product.
Yeah, right.
Do some people look at you kind of funny and go, it's vegetables?
Yeah, yeah, because the nutritional people, they Duane, sell my pill. No. And I don't want to get overly religious here, but you kind of got 2 choices. God created vegetables. Man created pills. I was dying. You got to make a choice, God or man. Yeah. I'm going to go with God.
Yeah.
Well, actually, my mother went that way. I kind of went along with my mother. And there's a lot of research that's been done on broccoli, Brussels sprouts, spinach.
The green stuff, right?
The
That
stuff.
green, crunchy stuff. That we
or
hear
even
so
the
much
bright colored vegetables, the red peppers, the yellow peppers, the orange peppers, all the bright colored vegetables. That bright color or that green color, those are carotenoids. These are nutrients. Medical science has proven that these are good for you. In my book, I list all the clinical studies. I didn't create this. It already existed. All I did is the research that I was taught to do as an engineer. Mm-hmm. And when I came across all the research, I was, whoa! And I looked at the South Beach diet, the Atkins diet, the Rosedale diet, every diet in the book. Mm-hmm. analyzed that diet from a nutritional science standpoint. They all had their good aspects, they all had their bad aspects. And then I looked at the human body. What does the human body require at the cellular level to be healthy? And came up with a model based on that.
I love that. So liquids, water,
Yep.
raw
Everyone knows
fruit
water.
juices, filtered water. Why not just tap water?
Yeah. Well, tap water contains
Maybe you don't
too
want to tell
many,
me. Okay.
yeah, too many hard minerals.
Okay.
And it puts a strain on your kidneys.
Okay.
And,
Lean protein. I've heard a lot about this. You're a big fan of salmon.
yeah, I used to hate salmon.
Yeah.
But once my mother taught me how to prepare it, and there's a local woman here in Rochester, she's called the Phantom Chef. People at work paid her to come to my house to prepare some meals.
Oh, I know the Phantom Chef.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she's
been on our broadcast before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she taught me how to prepare some of these foods, and once you learn how to prepare salmon properly, ooh, it's so good.
Okay. All right. I don't know if I like it better than a steak. We have to talk about
Well,
that.
steak, but steak is also good for you.
Okay.
When prepared properly.
Red meat is
Yes.
okay. Okay. So
I
lean
know this
protein.
I know people are going, this
I
man
know.
is crazy.
Okay.
But if you prepare the red meat properly, if you buy organic beef, free-range beef, if you marinate it with extra virgin olive oil and a little bit of lemon juice to break down the arachidonic acid within that meat, beef can actually be healthy for you.
All right, that's good to hear. Unsaturated omega-3 fats, the olive oils,
Yes.
the omega-3s which are in the
the
salmon
fish, the
and
nuts
things
and
like that.
seeds.
But if you don't like salmon, you can eat the eggs. I know we talked
organic
about
eggs, exactly.
organic eggs
Contain
or
omega-3s.
Okay, organic whole grains. Okay, because I like grain. I like bread. Can I eat it? Can I still
If
eat
you
it?
eat organic living bread, it's called sprouted grain bread. It's stores like Wegmans sells it. It's called sprouted grain bread. It's in the frozen section. It's a living food. That's why it's frozen. Most bread is sold out in the aisles. That's dead.
But isn't it enough to have the whole wheat label on it? The whole
Not
stone?
if you're diabetic.
Okay. Okay.
If you truly want to eat the best of the best, you want to eat living food. So sprouted grain bread is a living food. Most of the other bread is made with flour. And flour just doesn't metabolize well within our body.
All right, so now you've got the 5 live superfoods. I want to take a look at a meal model. Okay, so what are you eating, Duane, to get healthy? This is what I want to know. Let's take a look at this next, we've got this next slide here for you that explains what a healthy meal consists of.
Right.
And you mentioned starting with breakfast.
Yes,
That's
yes.
very simple for a lot of
Yep,
people, okay?
yep. Yeah, breakfast is truly, our mothers were right. Okay, my mother was right. Breakfast is very powerful, and a good example of a powerful breakfast.
Okay.
Is instead of eating grains such as cereal in the morning or oatmeal, have a vegetable such as 1.5 cups of steamed broccoli or 2 cups of steamed spinach.
But vegetables for breakfast?
Yep. And see, here's what we got to understand. Why do we eat cereal for breakfast? If you take a look at the human body, it only makes sense for a child maybe to have cereal in the morning to give them the energy. As we grow up, our bodies don't require that extra sugar that you get from cereal. What you really want are healing nutrients because your body just spent 7-8 hours sleeping, detoxing. So your cells are open. They want the best of the best. So why not give your body the best?
So the carbohydrate is the vegetable?
Exactly.
Okay, so is there any room in this for like a muffin? I mean, you know, like a Thomas's English muffin.
It's better to eat the muffin for lunch. Again, I'm talking if you're a type 2 diabetic.
I see. Okay,
now,
so
if
you've
you're not a
got
type 2 diabetic, then you have obviously a lot more flexibility.
All right, so the meal consists of a carbohydrate, which is the vegetable,
Exactly.
a protein like the salmon.
Or the organic free-range egg.
Okay, you prepare this with a little olive oil or some other type of healthy fat?
Always use olive oil. Olive
Okay.
oil is the best of the best in terms of plant oils.
All right, is there any room in this breakfast for coffee? Because Duane, I get up at 2:30.
Yeah. See, there's nothing wrong with having a cup of coffee. There's nothing wrong with eating ice cream. I eat ice cream.
Okay,
I eat apple pie. But as I discuss in my book, there's a healthy way to eat ice cream. There's a healthy way to enjoy apple pie. There's a healthy way to enjoy steak. Okay? So that diagram is just an outline, a guide, a protocol. And once you understand the protocol, the formula, you now take what you love and you build a program around that.
I know that in your book you mentioned going out to eat, okay? And there's a section on going out to restaurants. So for people at home watching thinking, oh my God, this is so restrictive, I can't eat this way, you're saying that there is a way to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned this spiritual component.
Right.
I find that interesting because our emotional health is really important too.
Right.
And this is a big part of your overall health and well-being, right? Talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to understand something. I'm not a courageous man at all. I was in tears when the doctors were looking at me and saying, Duane, there's just not that much we can do to help you. It's a very scary look you get from the doctors. They don't mean to, but they're just trying to be truthful. And my mother said, son, you were brought up in the church. You know what you need to do. My mother, she goes, I've already talked to God. He brought you back. Now you need to talk to him and get well. And there's something about the spiritual component that infuses you, that gives you this other energy that's always there, but we don't really tap into it. Part of the irony here is within the Rochester community, it was the churches who reached out to me and said, because most people didn't believe my story, but the churches said, Duane, we believe you, come talk to us.
This is a disease that affects so many African Americans and Latinos in our community for so many reasons, but it's a disease that with the proper education a person can beat.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh yeah.
For more information on Duane's book, you've got to check out our website at 13wham.com. We've got a link to his book and of course all the information about it. And also more information about Duane. Duane's on YouTube. I mean, come on. I love this. Your daughter, Cynthia, it puts you on YouTube. So all you got to do is go to YouTube, type in DeWayne McCulley, and you'll see some of his, because you do obviously lectures to diabetic groups and whatnot.
Exactly. Right.
I appreciate you being with us today. Thank you
I
for your
appreciate
message.
being here. This is phenomenal.
I know you're going to be jetting off to another group. He speaks all over the place.
Yes.
Thank you for taking time for us here.
Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate it. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you'd like more information about DeWayne McCulley's book, check out our website at 13wham.com. Of course, the information in the book is written by Duane, but the best advice we can give you, also make sure you go see your doctor. Duane mentions in the book the importance of regular checkups with your doctor. So again, thanks to Duane. It was really an eye-opening experience. I want to tell you now, leave you with some information about an upcoming men's health fair. The University of Rochester is trying to make men's health a priority through its 4th annual Men's Health Day. The free event is being held from 8 to 1:30 Friday, September 12th in the Arthur Kornberg Medical Research Building. For more information, you can check out that website at the bottom of your screen there if you'd like to learn more about this free Men's Health Day. There'll be checkups and doctors you can talk to about all sorts of issues, including diabetes. Thanks for being with us today, and as always, go on our website at 13wham.com to leave me your comments and your questions about today's guest or any of our guests in the past. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Many voices, many visions, one song peace. Many faces, different races, one song peace. Sky our Father, earth our Mother, family are we. You're my sister, you're my brother. We're created free to sing in many voices, many visions, one song, peace. Many voices, many visions, one song, peace. Many faces, different races, one song.